Okay, this time we're going to be talking about Iceman, Robert Bobby Louis Drake. He's got this very nice, clear, translucent plastic, somewhat translucent plastic that has been painted over with this very light blue in some spots to give him that real frosted feeling, real frosted look. While this looks good, it's kind of like an intermediary effect between his two looks, because his first appearance would be more akin to a snowman, looking much whiter and not as icy, but more like snow. And so this is kind of puzzling. It's not quite like that, and it's not quite the more kind of crystallized ice that is his more familiar form from what is it, issue about 20 to all the way up to the present day. So this is sort of like some strange intermediary stage that you've never seen before. However, I do think this would pass as the old like snowman look if they had just given it a more whiter coloring. And indeed, and if you remember the packaging, that it did have a much whiter paint scheme to it. Another thing that was in promo pieces and on the box art, these little snowballs or ice balls on here were, I believe, initially meant to come off. However, when they finally went to production, they are glued on there, which is kind of disappointing. As for articulation, his head does move side to side, but he's got this weird neck sculpt. It's at an angle, so the more you turn it this way, the more at an angle the neck is. So you end up with him having this cocked head, unless he's posed looking towards his right shoulder. His arms go around and in and out, and he bends at the elbow, rotates at the wrist. He has got waist articulation, but again, it's at an angle, so really kind of bizarre thing. But it does give you a little bit of a different posing than your normal figure, so it's both good and bad. His legs go forward, and really forward, not back so much. His knees bend, and to do his ankles. And one thing to notice is that this foot is in a permanently bent position, so it is kind of weird. If you also notice the peg here, for even though he doesn't come with a stand of any sort, the peg here is on the heel. The flat part of the foot where he would use to stand doesn't have it. Powers, I mean, if it isn't obvious, he's got what's called cryokinesis, and that's the ability to draw moisture from the air and freeze it, and shaping it into objects. Most Quite frequently, he uses it to make slides, ice slides, which is how he gets around. He encases himself in a protective layer. Again, I mentioned at first a more snowy look, which he later refined into a stronger ice form. Now, just to give his history of before he was an X-Men, he is the youngest to become an X-Men. Well, I should say he's the youngest of the first batch of X-Men. One day, one evening, he was out on a date, and a local thug bully was hassling him and his date, and in the process of defending himself and her from the thug and his friends, he uses his ice powers, which causes a big stir in the community. I believe it's somewhere in Long Island, and he is taken by a mob of townspeople, I guess, and they take him to the jail to, I guess, arrest him for assault. Anyway, the kid's sitting in jail, and Cyclops comes along. He's now in his full X-Men suit, and says, "Look, I'm gonna bust you out so you can join the X-Men." Well, he says, "Oh, forget if I, get busted out. I'm not going to, it's gonna make me look guilty." So, one thing leads to another. They start fighting, and it spills out into the streets, and they battle each other to a point where they're both so weak by their powers that yet another mob of people has formed, and they're about to get arrested or shot or something when Professor X comes in and saves the day. Basically wiping everybody's minds of the incident. Later on, Professor X meets with Bobby's parents, and he says he's going to erase their memories that Bobby ever had powers, and Bobby will be able to come with him and join the X-Men under the auspices of going to Xavier's School for Gifted Youngsters, which is a cover, for the X-Men. So that's it on Iceman, and stay tuned for my next video.